Let your imagination soar with Audible. With stories across every genre, from expert advice to fantasy, you'll be inspired to imagine new worlds, possibilities, and ways of thinking. Listening can even lead to a positive change in your mood, habits, and overall well-being. As an Audible member, you'll get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including bestsellers and new releases. Allow yourself to delve into the spooky this season by listening to classics like Stephen King's The Shining and Pet Sematary. There's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500-500. That's audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500-500.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into things that we've been watching recently. And reading recently. I'm Terry.
Oh, and I'm Mary Beth. This week we're talking about the first Ryan Murphy show in years that Terry's liked. Oh, very interesting. Deranged children's show hosts, a third feature by an up-and-coming director duo, Killer Pumpkins, and Hurricanes and the Supernatural.
Got a lot. So, how did I gotta ask though, because we haven't really talked. How did was it Nightmare Fest? Is that the last one? How did it go?
Nightmares Film Festival.
Nightmares.
Well, we won Best Horror Feature.
Yay!
Which is so cool. But that festival, Nightmares Film Festival in Columbus, Ohio, is like incredible. So their whole thing is like hashtag better horror. They're all very like positive, and it's one of those things where you're like, is this real? Is this like genuine? And then you go,
or is
and
it performative?
literally, it's the most genuine. Like, it was the one festival that I did actually feel comfortable going up to like random people and talking to, and like felt comfortable introducing, because their whole thing is like, everyone here should be friends and everyone should talk to everyone. So if I see you by yourself, I will put you into a group of people. So everyone should just like take that ethos the whole weekend. And they did. And like I met some like really cool people, and I got to hang out with some people that I knew, but I met a lot of really, really cool people, and it was a really awesome experience. So if you ever want to go to a really cool film festival, Nightmares Film Festival, Columbus, Ohio. It's in also this incredible nonprofit theater, the Gateway Film Center. And it's this like big, beautiful nonprofit film center that is like one of the few left in the country that's like a nonprofit film center. And it is absolutely incredible. Like, theaters are beautiful. It's huge. So it was a really awesome experience.
That's great.
Yeah. For Sale by Exorcist, won Best Director, my friend Melissa. So that's really exciting. And yeah, saw some weird shit talking about one of the films today. And yeah, it was a really cool experience. Like, just outside of like winning an award, like it was just like a festival that was so fun and just made me like very inspired as a creative to like make. Aww. The whole thing was just very much like a creative like hub, which is really cool when you work from home a lot and getting to go to these things and feel like creatively inspired. It's just really nice.
Cool.
So yeah, it was a great festival. So, and I don't think it's getting bigger every year. So y'all should really like, if you are a filmmaker or if you're just like a cool person who wants to watch cool movies, like definitely keep that one in mind. And Columbus, Ohio is like cool.
It's kind of cool.
Like a college town, but like I went to a record store called Magnolia Thunder Pussy that was close to the theater, and like there was a bunch of places. Like, it's obviously a college town, but it was really nice. It was cool. So yeah, it was awesome to just, the whole experience was just delightful. So
I think that's the first time. I think it was in Columbus that I went to a gay strip club for the first time.
That's incredible. And honestly, after going to Columbus, that makes more sense. I was like, okay, I can see now why that would have happened. Cause...
They have a really good, big Pride celebration.
So they had this really cool thrift store I walked by, Out of the Closet, and all of the proceeds go to like helping the gay community, and they provide free HIV testing. Like, this was right on a main street. So I was like, oh, Midwest queer is forever.
Yeah.
So,
the Pride Fest that I went to is one of the best I've ever been to.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was big. It was both like family safe in some places and kinky in some other places. So it's like,
oh, love that.
It was great.
Cool. Columbus, Ohio. Neat.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was Nightmares. It was just like a really awesome communal experience. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to go to more of those like communal, smaller festivals. Like Unnamed is a great one. Like the Unnamed Footage Festival that we've gone to. Like
they're just so much more fun, and I feel like more creative things are born out of them a lot of the time, just because it's about loving movies. Yeah. And that's not like a dig at any other festival. Like,
no, of course not.
It's just like some festivals are bigger and more like bigger names go there, and they're just a little bit different. But like these smaller fests, while still cool, just feel a little bit more creative, a little bit more like unrestrained in terms of what they're putting on at the fest. Which is cool.
I mean, that's why I really like Panic Fest. It's the same kind of way, where it's like you go there and you will see some of the big features, but then you will also see some weird thing that might not ever get distribution, or it might get a small distribution. It's like all this really great, creative, weird stuff. So
that's a lot of
right up my
what
alley.
Nightmares is. So definitely check it out.
Heck yeah.
It's close-ish. I mean, not like that close to you, but
a
little bit closer than like other festivals.
So. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool.
But yeah, Nightmares Film Festival. Check it out. And then we have Bystanders has one more festival left in its little run before we hit VOD, baby.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. But enough about me. What about this Ryan Murphy show that I have heard weirdly good things about this, if it's what I think it is. So what is the show you finally like from the man, the myth, the devil himself, Ryan Murphy?
I have a very I think a lot of people have a very complicated relationship with Ryan Murphy, because he's like a very successful queer man. He makes really successful TV shows, but a lot of times they go off the rails immediately, and for every pose there is a lot of other shows that are just not very good. I'm happy to say that Grotesquerie is actually quite interesting.
Okay. I've heard this. Niecy Nash, and I'm obsessed with her. So
me too. She is fantastic in this, and even if this show was a complete and utter mess, she would have been the reason to watch this, because I mean, this is a horror show, and she gets to run it. Like, she is the lead character. She is in almost every single scene. She's fantastic in it. She gets to play like a grizzled detective who is an alcoholic, a kind of semi-functioning alcoholic. It's like the kind of tropes that we would normally see grizzled old white men have on, but like it's so we get to see a little bit of subversion of that kind of expectation here. But she plays this this homicide detective in a relatively small town, and there are some heinous crimes that are happening. In the first episode alone, there is this family that has been tied to their chairs and butchered. They find the father has been put in the oven and cooked at 375 and then potentially fed to his family. And I believe the baby was found boiled in a pot.
What?
Yeah, and so this is the introduction.
Okay.
And then this kind of what I guess what I would kind of call this show a little bit in terms of what to expect. It's like if Ryan Murphy took Evil and Hannibal and maybe a little bit of Seven and sort of kind of mished it together. It's sort of what it's giving. There's a lot of weird Ryan Murphy weirdness. For instance, there is a really hot priest that is played by Nicholas Alexander Chavez, who is also playing Lyle in the Menendez TV show that Ryan Murphy is producing. But he plays this hot priest that wears like... As I said, this is the first Ryan Murphy show that I've enjoyed in a while. But yeah, so the father, this priest that this guy is playing, wears these red boots and has like chaps and masturbates and then self-flagellates himself.
Ooh, very what was it, Da Vinci Code? Where that albino
yes, the albino monk. So we have that, and then we have Michaela Diamond playing a sister, Megan Duvall, that gets involved with Detective Lois Tryon, Niecy Nash's character. And so that's sort of like the evil connection where they're sort of working together to solve these murders that seem to be both a lot of religious iconography, but also seem to be almost taunting or involved with Niecy Nash's character in some bizarre way. And it goes along at this. And what I do appreciate is that the episodes aren't like, I don't feel as if there's extra padding in them. Some episodes are an hour, some episodes are 30 minutes. So it's really playing with the format of being able to be a streaming show. And I think it works really well in that regard, because there's one episode 5, that's the first 30-minute episode, and half of it is a continuous long shot that is an action set piece that is really incredibly well done. And I was like, okay, we're trying different things here. We're kind of being, it feels like energized in a way that I've not seen a Ryan Murphy show ever. And this is purely from the showrunners' minds, because we have 3 showrunners that all wrote every single episode. So this isn't a writer's room. This isn't a thing where we have like Ryan Murphy sort of creatively producing it. He wrote along with the other 2 every single episode, and I think it shows. This feels very cohesive in a way that a lot of his shows don't. There's a huge twist, which is what got me to finally sit down and watch it. This last episode, I've only seen the first 7 episodes because that's all that's out right now. And the 7th episode has a big twist that I kind of saw coming, and yet I still really liked it because it changes everything that came before. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't know if this is going to go completely off the rails in the last 3 episodes, but what I've seen, if you don't mind some of Ryan Murphy's bullshit, this reminds me of earlier days creativity. The earlier days creativity that he has done in like some of the shows that maybe launched him into the public's awareness.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've heard good things. Travis Kelce's in it.
Yeah.
Which is the football player dating Taylor Swift, for any of y'all who like don't know who that is. Which actor. No. No way. No, no way. No shit. Really? Got me there.
I know, it's shocking, right?
Shocking. Color me shocked.
What I will say is that there's like a middle stretch that it's like, what is happening here? Because it's very weird and it feels very off. And there's a reason for all of that. So it's one of those that I think is more of a journey. And if you are like episode 3 or 4 going, what is happening? If you're enjoying it somewhat, I would stick with it, at least to episode 7, because it will put everything we've seen before in stark relief.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I will check it out, because I used to like American Horror Story.
Me too.
I was always kind of iffy on it because it was Ryan Murphy, but I was always kind of interested in what he was doing with it, and then it went off the rails. I liked Roanoke, like the found footagey one. That one's actually
I loved Roanoke.
But then it went back to what it was. And I just, like, I have the usual Ryan Murphy complaints. Mm-hmm. But, okay, this is good to know. Because I love Niecy Nash. And, I love a badass black lady leading a horror TV show. Mm-hmm. And the description of the beginning is really interesting. And Murphy is always really good at pushing stuff with, that kind of gore. So it's cool to see he's still doing that, but is expanding it outside of American Horror Story.
Yeah, and that's why I bring in the Hannibal Lecter or the Hannibal TV show sort of, because there's a lot of religious murder set pieces that kind of reminds me a bit of Hannibal's sort of tableaus that would be established.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, it's pretty good. I would recommend giving it a shot. It's on Hulu. First, I think it's either tonight or tomorrow that 2 of the final episodes drop, and then the final episode drops the night before Halloween for the season. Oh, okay. And they're trying. They're setting up for a second season from all the interviews that I've seen with Murphy. So I don't think this is limited series type of thing, but we'll see.
Okay.
Um, Deranged children's show host. I think I know what this is, and I've been curious about it.
Okay, so I'm talking about two things that are a little less indie than what I usually talk about. But I'm actually been really impressed with what Hulu has put out this year. I think Halloween is slept on. I'm not, and
It is.
I know it's Hulu, and like not saying it's like underrated. People watch Hulu, but I do think like within the people that I see talk online and like the horror community, I do think people don't take the Hulu show, like the Hulu originals, as like seriously as I wish they did, because last year there were some really good ones and this year there are two really good ones. And the first one that I'm talking about is Mr. Crocket, which is directed by Brandon SP, and it is about a deranged children's show host who is taking kids from bad parents and giving them and trying to give them a place away from bad parents. And when one kid is taken away from a mom who isn't, I wouldn't describe a bad parent, just a tired parent. She goes on a journey to figure out who Mr. Crocket is and what he is and how to get her kid back.
Okay.
And it's just like fun. And I think Brandon SP, so Elvis Nolasco plays Mr. Crocket, and he's so fucking good in this movie. He's been in a lot. He's actually in another movie I'm going to talk about today, because he's like in both of these Hulu movies. But he's in To Sweet Blood of Jesus. He's in a lot of stuff. Like, he's been around for a while as an actor, and I like him. And so he was really good in this, as like, he has these like crazy prosthetic teeth that make him like look like very straight and kind of menacing. And it just like really worked for me, because they really lean into the 90s aesthetics with like, he feels like a fucked up Mr. Rogers. And
Okay.
but then on the other hand, you have Jerika Hinton, who plays the mom who's like looking for her son, and she thinks she was on Grey's Anatomy, but she's really good, and the casting is great, and they do just enough of like dipping into effects of grief, but not too trauma horror-y, because I feel like there's been this situation, I think, where people are trying to still put like the elevated horror elements into their horror movies, but this one does it in a way that isn't like too overwhelming or too like grief is a metaphor. But you know what I mean? But
I do.
this is a really good balance of like weird bright colors and then like really terrifying weird shit going on. There's some really good kills. I wish there were more, but that's just, the nature of the movie. And
Yeah.
I just really dug it and what it was doing, how it accomplished it. And it's on Hulu. And so I would highly recommend checking it out.
Cool. Yeah, Jerica was also in Servant for a couple episodes.
What season? Is
She
the
was
therapist?
I think so. She was in season 1 and 2.
She is. I think she's her therapist that also is dating Rupert Grint's character.
Yes. I remember her dating
so
Rupert
familiar.
Grint.
That's why she looks so familiar. She's the one that's like, you guys can't keep keeping the secret from her. Okay. She's stunning. Like, she's really good.
Yeah, I like her.
I think, again, this came to Hulu on October 11th, and it's just like a good Halloween horror movie. It's got like gateway horror vibes, but it's definitely not gateway horror. It's definitely like adult, for sure. Definitely adult, but it's fun. And again, Elvis Nolasco's performance as Mr. Crocket is just like absolutely incredible. So I'm just really impressed that it's an all black cast, it's a black director, and it's just like a good, weird, puppety horror movie, and more people should check it out.
Yeah,
it's a movie where it's like every character is black, but it's like not about, it's just everyone's black. It's not like they're not trying to make a commentary on anything, and I love that, because again, like, hey, you can do an all black cast on something that's not like about race, and it's still like, we can do this, y'all. So if anything, like, support black horror. I mean, and it's good black horror, so check it out. If that's helpful for you for some reason, like to push you to check it out, like, support these cool horror projects for sure.
Heck yeah. Cool. I'm excited to see that one. It's just been a busy month.
There's a million things to watch are coming out right now, which is why I'm like, this is a good one. I promise y'all, this is like worth watching. And it's like it's a good tight like 90 minutes too.
Nice.
Which we always love.
Love to see it. Yeah.
But moving on from Mr. Crocket, a third feature from an up-and-coming director duo. I would love to hear more about this.
Yeah, so this is called Push, and it debuted at Sitges Film Festival just a little bit ago, and it is by writers and directors David Charbonnier, I believe, maybe, and Justin Douglas Powell. They came out like on fire in 2020 and 2021 with The Boy Behind the Door and then The Djinn.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so they're back with their third feature, and I think it's going to come out in 2025, I believe is the expectation. I don't know if it's sold yet or not, but IMDb says it has a release date. So I don't know if that's true or not, because it's IMDb. But I know that it's not out yet. But it's called Push, and it is about a realtor. She is from overseas. She marries this man against her parents' wishes, and he's an American, moves to America, and then he gets into a car accident. Well, I think they both do, and he dies. And so she's sort of a stranger in a strange land. Yeah. And this movie definitely pulls from like it reminds me a bit of Inside. Okay,
I was gonna say like I got Babadook Inside already in my head, so okay.
Yes, and this is less grotesque. Like this is more in line with their previous two films. This is very similar.
Very tense.
Yes,
very
where
much.
it's like we're following her. She's a realtor. She is trying to make it with this. She's pregnant. Make it with her life now that she is in a strange country without her husband, and she is trying to sell off this ginormous mansion. It's so gothic and cool that it has its own like mausoleum, like small mausoleum out back, and like a graveyard. So like we're in like this sort of gothic-y kind of area. There's like been rumors that maybe the place is a little strange. The last people that lived in the house were murdered. So there's a lot of that kind of going into it. And so it's kind of that house where the murder house where no one is having any luck. And she is there trying to do an open house. No one has come except one man who is just lingering around the place and being all sorts of creepy. Spoiler alert. He comes back that night. Her car doesn't work. She is stuck. And this is set in 1993, by the way. So this is set like in the 90s.
Why is everything set in 1993 this year? That is my birth year. And I'm like, is there something I'm missing? Because fucking Mr. Crocket is in 1993. And
is it really?
The next movie I talk about is also set in 1993. And I'm just like...
It's the 90s, baby.
It's 90s nostalgia time. We're moving out of the 80s and into the 90s.
We are.
Everyone that's my age is making movies now.
And making music because like
true.
the amount of alternative music that I've listened to this year that is 90s influenced is just even Biba Doobie, who like did like indie kind of bedroom pop. Her new album is produced by I think is like Rick Rubin, I think, produced it, and like her first debut song off of it is very like 90s inflection. But there's been so many great 90s throwback 90s nostalgia that's been coming out over the last year, music wise and in movies, that someone that kind of came to being a teenager in the 90s and found his own in the 90s, I'm living for this, give me more. But yeah, so it's basically almost like a two-person show where the killer is trying to chase her through this house, and she is pregnant, and that sort of escalates. Weirdly enough, one of the guests that we are talking with next week is also in this movie. Gore Abrams plays a mechanic briefly in this film. Weird. Did not know. France? No, she's here in the States.
Oh,
it's here in the States.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Because like,
okay,
he lives in France, listeners. You'll find this out on Monday.
You'll find this out, yeah. Sorry.
But yeah,
sorry, spoil it. But
I don't. I mean, I think it was filmed in the States. Maybe it wasn't, but it is. It's
Oh.
definitely an English
Huh.
film.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Cool. That's so
I,
exciting. I love their stuff. Like Boy Behind the No, The Djinn was the one that I saw. I didn't see The Boy Behind the Door yet. But The
I
Djinn is
love.
really good. The way that they were able to do like a tiny 1-bedroom apartment as
Yeah,
like or 2-bedroom apartment as like the conceit. I thought that was so good.
they're very good at working within limitations. I will say that, um, for me, their best was Boy Behind the Door in terms of
Okay.
that tension. Um, but like all three other movies are kind of similar in that it's typically like someone in a place that is being terrorized by something else. Um, and so there is maybe I kind of personally want to maybe see them push themselves into something different because they're both really great. Like the writing in this is really good. The direction, the cinematography is really good in this. I just I it's I mean I don't mean this negatively. Like it's not my favorite of the films. I still think Boy Behind the Door is like just
Yeah.
fantastic, but it's definitely within that sort of ilk.
Okay.
And it's operating I think in a larger perspective than the previous two films. So I'm
Okay.
curious to see what they're going to do. I'm very excited for them to have this new film because I've been wanting to see something ever since The Djinn because they had like that 1-2 punch of those two films
Yeah.
that came out within like months of each other, I want to say. And
I think they did.
then there was nothing. So I'm excited. I'm excited for them
I
to
wonder
get
if
more people.
Yeah, me too. I wonder if Shudder's picking it up. I think Shudder did The Djinn. Did they do
What
The
did they?
Djinn? I don't remember. I
I
could
don't
look it
remember
up,
either.
but I'm lazy. Sorry, everyone. Don't fact check me. Cool. That's exciting though. I love that. I like their work. So
I mean, it might have been. I think it was. I think IFC Midnight maybe
I
picked it
think
up
it
or
was.
IFC.
I'm
So
pretty sure.
I think it might have been.
Pretty sure. So I always am like, oh, they'll probably pick up the other one, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But that is Push. So keep that on your calendar for next year. All right. Killer Pumpkins, this other Hulu show that I'm also very excited for. I almost watched it last night, so I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.
So this is Carved. This is another the Huluween movie. That also, well, Elvis Nolasco does not have as big of a role, but he is in this one as well. So he's like very 90s this year. But Carved takes place in the 90s, and it takes place in a small town in New England that has suffered. It's like I think it's a year after a couple years after this like really bad chemical spill that killed a lot of people and like really fucked up the town. And wouldn't you know it, that chemical spill might just have made a mutant pumpkin. And they're about to do a pumpkin carving contest, and there's like they're like, oh yeah, this is a really cool pumpkin, and it's like a giant. You can tell it's like it's something's wrong with it. And as soon as they all start carving the pumpkin carving contest, it fucking snaps because it's watching everyone kill the other pumpkins. So it goes on a fucking murderous rampage and hunts down every person who is fucking carving the pumpkins, which is my favorite thing. I was like,
What?
slay mama, slay pumpkin queen.
That's good for her. Good for her moment.
She is canonically female.
Okay, cool.
So it is a woman. God is a woman, and so is a killer pumpkin. And it felt like an adult Goosebumps episode. Like,
okay.
It's silly, it's a little cheesy. This one leans a little too hard into the trauma narrative for my tastes. Like, I feel like it was trying really hard to hit the pathos, but like it goes a little bit like too into the pathos, but like
okay,
not enough that it feels, it's just like it's uneven in terms of what it's trying to do there. But like just directed by Justin Harding. This was a short that he did. I think he did this short similar to Mr. Crocket. It was a short for like bite-sized Halloween for Hulu that he was able to turn into a feature. And
that's right. It was based on a Hulu short.
Yeah. So I saw it at Nightmares in the theater, so like that was probably part of the fun. But like,
okay.
I had a beer, and it's just like silly, and the CGI isn't always great, but there's some really good practical moments, and I just like love a movie about a killer pumpkin and a group of people trying to survive the killer pumpkin. And again, it's a really good cast of characters, a really good diverse group of characters. There is a gay couple in it. Peyton Elizabeth Lee, who used to be in a bunch of Disney stuff or in a Disney show, she's the lead and she's really good. Carla Jimenez is in it, and she's in a bunch of stuff, and she was really good in it too.
Okay.
So there's just like a really good cast in this, and I just had so much dumb fun with it. Because again, it's a silly movie. It's a killer pumpkin movie, but it's just like a good time. It's a very good Halloween movie. It's a good thing to put on like in the background at a party, or if you're carving pumpkins, or if you're handing out candy and you want to put something on that's low impact. It's just like such a good Halloween movie. Like, this is a movie I can see myself watching every Halloween, because it's like, it's just got that fun, it's got that fun 90s nostalgia vibe, though it does not look like it was filmed in the 90s at all. Like, they just said 90s so there'd be no cell phones, I think. Because, like, while Mr. Crocket feels like the 90s, Carved doesn't. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. It just kind of makes me laugh how we're like, it's the 90s, and it's just so we don't have cell phones.
Uh-huh. I mean, I'll be honest, I think that's probably similar to Push, because, like, a lot of the problems would have been solved if she had a cell phone.
Well, I totally get that, but, like, if you're gonna go 90s, like, try a little harder to go 90s, you know what I mean? But, like, whatever. That's, like, a small thing. But it's just fun. Killer pumpkin, cool puppet, some weird CGI, but, like, some really good deaths. The pumpkin can hold a knife, so, like, just use that, your imagination with that. Like, the pumpkin holds a carving knife. There's a really good stoner character, which has inspired me that I really want to make a stoner girl horror movie. So, yeah, Carved is fun. It's, like, it's what it is. It's a killer pumpkin movie, but, like, it knows what it is, and I appreciate that.
Mary Beth, I'm looking for a smile but make it horror movie, or smiley but make it horror movie. The Anna Faris movie, the stoner comedy by Greg Araki.
So bad. Let me I have to tell you an idea I have when we're done. But
please.
Yeah, there's not enough stoner girl characters in like stoner girl horror. I know there's like 420 Massacre has like a bunch of lesbians, which is like super cool, but not enough. So anyway.
Not enough.
Carved is also on Hulu. It is so fun. So if you're looking for something that's like very much like a Halloween movie, definitely Carved.
Hell yeah.
So, highly recommend it.
Cool.
All right, and last but certainly not least, Hurricanes in the Supernatural.
Yeah,
Timely, unfortunately.
I know. We are veering wildly from, I think, pretty much everything we've talked about with this, but this is...
Hell yeah, brother.
This is Gambino Iglesias's new novel that came out earlier this year called House of Bone and Rain. And it is set in Puerto Rico, and it feels very much like someone taking Stephen King, but also like making it fresh. So it has kind of similar conceits that we've seen with a lot of Stephen King books, where there's a group of childhood friends, Gabe, Javier, Tavo, Paul, and Bimbo, I believe. And they're sort of like, they live in Puerto Rico. They're kind of the... Bimbo his family might be involved with some of the local crime scene like area. Like it's a bunch of a group of kids that are kind of been thrust together as sort of like a chosen family. One of them is gay, and that they've sort of are like looking out for each other. And then one day, Bimbo's mom is murdered, and Bimbo is distraught, and he wants to find the criminals that did this, and it turns into like this whole kind of conspiracy with a local drug kingpin of Puerto Rico, like this guy that is spoken about in like whispers, and he's sort of like has like a steel hold on Puerto Rico. While this is all happening, a giant hurricane is barreling down on Puerto Rico.
Great,
And
Really
the idea in here, and I don't know if this is based on Puerto Rican folklore, but in this world of the book, hurricanes are known to carry kind of evil spirits in their currents and bring them ashore. And so it's sort of like is a little bit of a crime thriller, a little bit of mysticism, a little bit of cosmic horror. There's some reveals towards the end that if I explained what this novel kind of reminded me of, it would kind of ruin some of the surprises. But I will say cosmic horror a little bit. And it's just, it's a really good, fast read that reminds me of like what I love about Stephen King, but taken in a person of color perspective, and is about the sort of what it's like living in Puerto Rico, both from an internalized problems that are happening in Puerto Rico, but also taking shots at the way America handles Puerto Rico. So it's like there's a lot going on here in this thin book, and I do wish it kind of got to some of the more wild things in the back half a little bit sooner. But I really enjoyed this book, and it's called House of Bone and Rain, and it's out now, and I highly recommend it.
Okay. I need to read it.
I listened to it on audiobook, and the narrators were good. They were very good.
Cool. He's really good at writing violence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my first of his books. I've never read anything of his before.
Yeah, neither have I, which is annoying and lame of me, but here I am. I really want to read The Devil Takes You Home. That's supposed to be really good.
Yeah. I've heard really good things about that one.
Yeah,
but I was really impressed with this book, and it makes me want to read more of his stuff.
Amazing. Cool.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. I also am the worst. I didn't watch 30 Rock because of festival, and also I slept instead, which is not great. So we will next week be talking about the same ones that we talked about. The ones that we talked about talking about this week are next week. Episode 16, TJ's Hates Women, and Queen of Jordan. Episode 17.
Yes. Very excited for you to watch Queen of Jordan, particularly.
I'm very excited. But then, we kind of already said this, but who are we talking to on Monday, Terry?
So we are talking with Gore Abrams and Danny Bellini. They starred in Hell House LLC, and they teamed up to make a short film called Locations that they're looking as sort of like a proof of concept for a feature film. And so we talk about that, but then they also brought with them Mommy Dearest. So get your wire hangers and go chop down a anemic tree, because we are talking Faye Dunaway, we are talking Joan Crawford,
baby.
Yeah. So that's Monday.
That is Monday. And they're both straight, which is really funny. Anyway, it's just we all know it's a very queer movie, so it was just a very funny experience. Anyway, listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch something or read something we talked about this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for things we should be talking about? Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com or reach out to us directly on social media. I am at MB McAndrews on Twitter and at MB.McAndrews on Instagram.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful everywhere.
And obviously, you better be following the podcast. We are at Scarred Podcast on Twitter and Blue Sky, and we are at Scarred for Life Podcast on Instagram.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. And if you want to help support us, we do have a Patreon.
Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please stay safe out there. But most importantly, stay creepy. And have a happy Halloween, because this is actually our last little cuts before Halloween.
Yeah, so happy Halloween, everybody.
Ooh, spooky.
And until next time.